Hi guys, Tom Morrison here, and Jenny and I are going to take you through a kettlebell series which is going to teach you how to hinge properly, how to brace properly, and how to wield an awesome piece of equipment known as the kettlebell, which is a great teaching tool before moving on to a lot of other more advanced stuff like barbells. So, very first thing we want to have is a good concept of our pelvis awareness and how do you actually keep a neutral spine. This is something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's something that's very easy to accidentally mess up for a long period of time. So what we want to do is start to bring some awareness. So if Jenny just demonstrates a really good hinged position for me, she's just going to send her hips back and away, and she's aiming here to feel the hamstrings as she does this. So what you'll notice here is that she has a nice flat back in this position. Now there's a lot of subtleties to this when you're actually going through the movement. She's reached into her hips here. What we don't want to see, if Jenny goes through some of the incorrect things that you can start to do, is that if she was to just round from her upper back to achieve the same position, okay? So we're gonna get Jenny to exaggerate here really what we're looking for, but this would be more upper back rounding. You're not gonna be accessing the hips in the same way, and you're gonna be putting more stress on the lower back. Other things you can see that go wrong with the hinge could be if she's starting to squat into the position. That's when the knees start to actually come forward here, and she's not accessing the hamstrings in the same way. So it's not wrong, but it's not what you're looking to do. Other things you can see would be rounding just from the lower back as well, and you'd have a bit of rounding here. And if you're going to start to put weight through that over time, it's going to start to make things feel pretty tight, stiff, and not too strong as well over time. So what we're looking for here is to know how to keep a neutral brace spine. So Jenny's basically standing up as tall as she can right now in this position. She has her hands on her stomach like this. And what we're looking for, if she was to round her upper back slightly here, she would feel her pinky finger press into her thumb like that, okay? If she was to overarch her lower back before sending the hips away, the hands would come away from each other like that. So we don't want to see that. So what Jenny's going to try and do here is get herself into that nice upright position. The index or the pinky fingers in line are touching the thumb, and she's going to then try to reach into her hips without those hand positions changing, okay? Now, she's going to go through 5 reps here and try and really maintain that position, and each time she does, she focuses on the hips here. Nice thing to do when you've started to get the hang of that is to give yourself an actual object to aim for. So after Jenny does her 5 here, make sure to film yourself on the side as you do this. It's a really, really powerful learning tool. So from here, Jenny has a kettlebell, okay? So we're looking for the handle to come up to just about mid-shin. If you don't have a kettlebell to hand, don't worry, you can just tap yourself in the mid-shin, but it's nice to have something as a marker. So we're gonna be mean Jenny make her step forward a bit more so her ankles are actually in line with the handle of the kettlebell. From there now, she's going to try and keep that exact same concept with the belly, but she's going to now aim to reach the hips back and away so that she can just tap the top of the handle like that in that position. She's aiming to make sure she's feeling her hamstrings as she does that. And on the way back up, everything should come back up the same. If Jenny was to go down, now do this really slowly for me, if she was to arch her lower back first before standing, and there's 2 different movements there, we don't want to see that, okay? The hips should be the only thing that moves here. The upper torso basically has to stay exactly the same. So everything goes together at the same time. If Jenny does one more bad one for me, if you see that they arch the back first and then come up, we don't want to see that, okay? So it means that you've basically lost your neutral spine and you're starting to do things that it's going to cause shearing forces on your spine, which we don't want, okay? So Kettlebell Touch, this is a great way to start giving yourself some awareness of how to hinge, how to feel the hamstrings. Your stance here, because you've got the kettlebell between the legs, you're going to need to go a little bit wider than a neutral hip stance that you would if you were doing the conventional deadlift. So this is going to give you a bit more space for the bell to go into. So you're aiming to keep vertical shin as you're going with the hips back and away, and keep yourself moving from the hips and not moving through the spine. So make sure to practice this, break it out completely with no weight, nail it, and then you'll be ready for the next step.